I'm Adam Collins. This is the outside view for Women's Cricket Zone on the opening evening of the Women's T20 World Cup 2020. And what an upset. What a result. Now, India, of course, have beaten Australia on the big stage before in big global tournaments, not least, of course, the famous semi-final victory at Derbyshire in 2017 when Harmanpreet put on an absolute clinic. But this is just as big. The first night of a tournament where Australia, the Phillip, is to play on the MCG in front of 91,000 people. All anyone is talking about is Australia playing in this final and the potential for there to be a world record crowd for a women's sporting event. But India weren't having any of that. They scrapped their way to 132. Yes, they got the flyer. Yes, Verma, brilliant. The 16-year-old youngster did everything she needed to do in the power play, but from 40 for no loss to 49 for 3, losing 3 wickets in a hurry, the run rate stopped completely. Deepti Sharma nudged them forward alongside Jemima Rodriguez. In the case of Deepti, she was all the way there to the end, but they didn't get the runs they needed. 132, as Harmanpreet said after the game, was below par, even though it was a slow track. But what does a slow track do? It brings Poonam Yadav into the equation, so often written off for being too slow, for being too short, for being a relic of the previous era of women's cricket. Well, Poonam Yadav's having none of that. She continues to perform on the global stage. She had to, of course, come back from injury to even be available for this tournament, back into consideration, and what a scintillating spell it was in the middle overs after Elisa Healy got Australia off to a flyer. Poonam Yadav, of course, who deceived her, caught and bowled. That got them rolling. 4 wickets in 2 overs, 3 of them coming via the wrong end. A couple of excellent dismissals affected by the wicket-keeper, Tanya Bhatia, who was brilliant behind the pegs. Indeed, it was Bhatia who could have affected a hat-trick as well when Jess Jonason's outside edge was found, but Jonason eventually fell caught behind and the wheels fell off. Only 2 players for Australia made it to double digits. The aforementioned Elisa Healy, who made 51 at the start, and Ash Gardner, who made 34. And look, for the briefest moment towards the tail end, you thought that given how Ash Gardner has played in the Women's Big Bash League, that she could pull off something of a miracle, but it wasn't to be. Australia all out for 115, and India the victors by 17 runs in a true upset on the opening evening. And from Harmanpreet Kaur's perspective, when she was speaking after play, the message is clear. They believe they can win this whole tournament. As for the Australian skipper, Meg Lanning, it's a fraction more complicated. As I mentioned off the top, the expectations are all geared around Australia making the final on International Women's Day at the Coliseum that is the MCG. Can they break that world record? Well, here's the thing. If Australia are going to progress to the Final Four, they need to win every game from here. There's no room for latitude. Losing on the opening night in a blockbuster against India at the Sydney Showgrounds, it was geared this way. To have a big fixture first up meant that if they were to lose, now every game becomes essentially sudden death. And the fact that New Zealand haven't played a game yet, they would have watched this result with joy. And of course, we talked in our preview, Isabel Westbury and myself yesterday, about this being the proverbial group of death in this Women's World Cup. Well, that's what it now becomes. If Australia can't win every game, it's all over for them. And of course, a captain of Meg Lanning's experience and standing knows that all too well. And she says quite clearly for the reigning champions, they've got one job: to get straight back on the horse. So as far as Group A is concerned, they get on the plane now and they fly to Perth. Australia and India both play on Monday. In Australia's case against Sri Lanka, India will play against Bangladesh. And Perth is also where Group B starts tomorrow when West Indies play Thailand in their first game of World Cup fare. Thailand, the remarkable story through 2019, winning 17 games on the trot. It'll be a different story tomorrow when they play the West Indies. But we'll deal with that tomorrow on the outside view. Today is all about India. What a famous, remarkable victory. Poonam Yadav, Deepti Sharma, absolutely outstanding. They were the rightful winners tonight, and this tournament is very much alive. Adam Collins signing off. Talk to you tomorrow.